A couple of days ago, I took one of the best wildlife photos that I have ever taken, and this is over the course of about 14 years. It was this shot here of a short-haired owl in flight, and as it came past me, it looked down, directly down the barrel of my lens, which was just insane. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I got this shot and a bit about the background behind it. So the shot was actually about 5 years in the making. Um, you know, this area is quite local to my home, so I'm always walking around here. And about 5 years ago is when I first spotted this owl. However, he was always, I say he, I don't know the gender of the owl, but he was always in the distance too far. For my lens at the time, I was shooting on a 200mm, so I didn't have enough reach to be able to capture a decent image of him. He just looked like a speck of dust in the background. So yeah, this image has been actually like 5 years in the making. I first spotted this owl about 5 years ago in this area. It's an area pretty close to my home, which is really nice because I can just come here within walking distance. I can chill out. I can wait a few hours to see what I get. But on this particular evening when I captured these shots, I was actually here for a totally different subject. I was here for the moonrise. I think it was a harvest moonrise, I believe is what they call it in October. Anyway, it's like a super moon event, basically. So I was set up for that. I brought my big tripod. It's about 6 foot tall, which is gonna be related to the owl coming so close to me. We'll get there, but yeah, I set my tripod up on a raised like hill area. It's not a very high hill by any means. It's just raised off the ground. But yeah, I set my tripod up, set my camera up. I put on my 300 2.8 lens, which I'll get to in a bit as well, and I pointed it just off to my right here, where the moon was going to be rising. I planned the moonrise location spot using a couple of apps. I use photopills and a couple of weather apps just to make sure it's going to be clear. Anyway, the moonrise shots were totally rubbish in comparison to these. Yeah, I I was set up for the moonrise. Basically, is what I'm trying to get up. Just a very long way of kind about it. Yeah, so I first spotted the owl off in the distance, like I normally do when I'm down here. Even with a 600mm lens, he's still too far away for me to capture. I've tried getting closer. I've tried hiding. I actually hid under this tree once for a couple of hours trying to capture him, but no luck. And actually, on the evening, I did capture him. Like I said, I only had a 300mm, so that just gives you some idea of how close he actually was. It wasn't too cropped in either in post. But yeah, I first saw him in the bank there just behind the camera, and he came up around this riverbank and back behind me coming this way, directly towards the camera where it's filming now. And his eyes were just insane. Like you could see in the image a blood orange, but in person they actually looked like they were glowing, which sounds kind of stupid. I know it sounds stupid. This whole video sounds stupid if you're not into wildlife photography and you don't get the excitement of getting a shot like this. It's not a bird you see every day. It's not like a seagull or a pigeon, which are still terrific birds. But like it's a pretty cool, I, it's a pretty impressive bird species of bird, which it's just insane to me. But I still managed to get that close to it. I still managed to capture it in flight, and the images aren't terrible. The images are sharp. As sharp as I'd like them. If you pixel peep a bit, it loses sharpness, of course, with any image. A little bit noisy as well. I think I was at 10,000 ISO just because I wasn't prepared for the situation. My shutter speed was quite high, but I didn't really pay attention to it at the time. I just knew my lens was wide open. I know that it can capture sharp images wide open, so that wasn't a worry to me. Shutter speed was high enough not to get any motion blur, so that didn't matter to me. ISO was auto ISO for wildlife photography, which I usually set up for. Yeah, it was just crazy. I'm looking behind me to see if he makes another appearance, because how cool would that be? That he just came this way again, and I capture him on video. That's my next mission, is to capture a video of him, like a really cool high definition, high resolution image video of him. That'd be crazy. Anyway, the gear I was using, I have it here. I was on my R6 Mark II, which is a brilliant camera for wildlife photography. It was in electronic shutter mode, which I believe gives you 40 frames per second, I want to say. It's roughly 40 frames per second, which is just mind-blowing to me. You know, this is a fairly new camera and lens setup to me, and in the past, I've only ever had 5 frames per second. Um, I've I've used to shoot on a 1DX, which I still do occasionally, but it's nowhere near as fast as this. I think the 1DX is 12 frames per second, I want to say, mechanically. Obviously, it doesn't have electronic shutter because it's a DSLR. But yeah, I think it's about 12 frames per second. So having 40 frames per second in this is just insane. I was on the EF 300 2.8, which is a very old lens. I believe it's 1980 something. It's the first version. It's non-IS, which I don't really need, to be honest, because it is a heavy lens. It weighs about 3 kilograms, but with the stabilization in the R6 Mark II and the R6 and the R5, you know, in these mirrorless cameras which are coming out today, it's just crazy. You don't really need in-body stabilization. I know it's a hot take. I know a lot of people, you know, buy lenses for the stabilization, which is fair enough. If I'm doing video work, then stabilization is very handy to have in both body and lens. But anyway, I'm not a wildlife photographer. I don't know what professionals do. I handheld this. I panned, and yeah, I I got lucky pretty much. You know, I wasn't planning to capture the owl. I wasn't set up for an owl. It's just still mind blowing to me that I managed to get that close, and the look it gave, the stare it gave, would just stick with me for probably forever. It was insane how he just looked. Now you might have noticed I do have an extender on this lens right now. I didn't at the time, so it's just 300 there. But I'm shooting, or I'm trying out this extender tonight just to see how sharp the images still are with it. You know, it brings it to an f4 lens, so it's a couple of stops down from f2.8. But again, with ISO in the mirrorless cameras these days, it doesn't really matter if I have to push my ISO too much. Denoise software in Lightroom, again, it's just crazy how far it's come. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I used back button focusing, which I've been using since the beginning I started photography. Um, it's it's there's thousands of videos on why it's useful. I won't go into that, but that is just the setup I like to have, back button focusing. I've set the AF on button on this camera for eye detection, and I've set the what is it? The like little star button. I've set that for center focus. So having those two options definitely helped. And whilst it was flying, I used a mixture of both of those. The eye detection lost it at times as it was flying past these branches here. As my camera was, you know, focusing through the branches, it lost it a couple of times, which is fair enough. So then I switched to center point, picked it up again, switched back to IAF for the shots when it came really close, and that's the end of that. That's how I got the image of that owl, which is insane to me. And I think the only reason why I got it was obviously because I was here, I was outside. If I wasn't outside, you know, I wouldn't have got it. An image, which I guess that brings it to about persistence and just getting out as much as you can at every opportunity. Like this evening, I've seen hardly anything worth writing home about. I saw a buzzard over the embankment, a little bit too far away again, so I didn't capture a good image of him. I did get a wren. I think it's a wren. I'll pop it on screen now. But at the spot, it was backlit, so I don't know if it's going to be a good image. I haven't checked. Hopefully it is. It looks pretty sharp on the back of my camera. And that was at 420 millimeters with a 1.4 times extender. So it's, yeah, I'm just testing it out really to see how it handles. Again, I don't do wildlife photography all the time, so I haven't invested too much into it. This 300mm lens is, I actually love it for portraits. It's a bit of a hot take. I take it to weddings with me. I take it to wedding receptions with me, especially just because I can be far away and I can capture the documentary style, which I'm hired for and which I personally love shooting. I can be, quite far away from the subject and capture those intimate moments between the people speaking to other guests, the bride and groom interacting with guests, and those are the photographs that I get a lot of feedback on as being their favorites, just because one, they didn't know it was taken, and two, it just shows genuine emotion. Yeah, which is why I love telephoto lenses, especially for portrait photography. Don't get me wrong, I do love my 50mm, and you know, 1.4 aperture is crazy as well. You can hear the pheasants going off behind me. But yeah, it's about 10 minutes after sunset right now. I don't think he's going to be making another appearance tonight. Not this early anyway. Maybe at 10 p.m. at night. But even for this lens and my eyesight, that's crazy. And it's actually a pretty scary walk back as it's through a little forest. And yeah, it's pretty scary in Britain. You never know what wildlife you're going to get. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this rambling and this video, and I hope you've made some sense of it. And what I've spoken, yeah, that made no sense, but I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to make more videos of landscape photography, long exposures and that sort of stuff. If that's something you're interested in, just let me know. Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe or anything. This is might just be a one-off. It might be taken down if I get a lot of harassment and bullying comments. I'm kidding. But yeah, thank you so much.